Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker. This is WP Watercooler, episode number 262.
Oh my
Today's
God.
episode is Jetpack Wishlist. We're going to go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced. Our newbie, Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm a total newbie, and I'm a code wrangler at Automatic working on Jetpack.
Very cool. Well, Jetpack, it's awesome that you're on today. How about you, George? Do you work on Jetpack?
Hi, my name is George Stefanis. I work on Jetpack and Automatic, and this is what I have to do when our lower thirds aren't working. And I've been working on Jetpack for about the last 5 years and like to hack on things.
Awesome. Good to have
and
you
working
on,
in Lancaster,
George.
Pennsylvania is coming up in 1 month for all you East Coasters.
Awesome. Good to have you on as usual, George. How about you, Russ? Tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Russell Aaron. I work at Web Dev Studios, and Jetpack is always the first plugin that I install on any new site.
Nice. Steve, what about you?
I am Steve Zangen. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup. And I will be speaking at WordCamp Phoenix in exactly 2 weeks from today.
Awesome, man. Well, congrats for them, you know, getting them to get you to be on and talk.
Congratulations on them once again.
Thank you.
Thank you for the yes. I'm Jason Tucker. I do the words and make the things and talk the stuffs. No, just kidding. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog, and we do this show, and we also do another show called WP Lab. Feel free to go take a look at that. That happens on Thursdays in the evening, so take a look at all of that stuff as well.
And happy Groundhog Day.
Right.
Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow, so there are 6 more weeks of winter that we have to face.
Well, thanks a lot. I was waiting for the newscast here to tell me if you saw a shadow. Now
He did. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. Here in Huntington Beach, we are 5 below 80 right now. So
You see, I was going to make the joke that Matt Mullenweg saw his shadow, so there's at least 6 more weeks until Gutenberg launches.
Oh, man. So let's talk a little bit about Jetpack. We've always given George a lot of crap about Jetpack and just the things that
it's
Jetpack
all in love. I accept it.
That's
or I like
not
pretend
true.
that it is.
And you know,
It's
I've
not true
joked
that it's all in
personally.
love. Come on.
I've joked personally that at some point we're going to install Jetpack and then we'll install WordPress. So where are we in that, George? Are we at that point where Jetpack is the thing that we install first?
It has been discussed, but no, we're not at that point.
But then it
More
could be
is
a
a joke than
4-minute
anything.
install. It could be a 4-minute install. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Well,
All right.
I mean, who knows? But no, nothing to report at this time. I can neither confirm nor deny any such allegations of impropriety or any collusion among hosting providers. And no, I got nothing for you on that front. I'm sorry.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's fine. Well, so we've been wanting to do a show like this where we just talked about Jetpack because we tend to not talk about our own products that we're doing or anything like that. We just kind of skirt around that a little bit, but you know, at this point, we've talked enough crap about Jetpack to George on the show. We might as well like actually say like, here's some things that we'd love to have on. And it's so weird because the person who I'd imagine would have the most to say would be Say, and she's not here today.
she thinks WordPress, eats WordPress, sleeps WordPress, right? Or is
And
that
all the things at
all the
Savory
things.
Media. Yes.
So what you guys don't know is instead of writing a letter to Santa, she writes a letter to George, and this is what she sends every year. Says these are the features that I need.
She just confuses all us large, jolly bearded people. Nice thing. But no, I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff that's been happening in Jetpack lately. Some of it is more starting being rolled out on like the higher paid tiers, like Elasticsearch powered search that I know Dan can share a lot more than I can about. But I mean, on that, historically, search in WordPress has always been kind of bad. Because let's face it, MySQL databases aren't really the best thing for doing contextual, clever searches. So we can do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always called search WordPress's Achilles heel.
Yeah. Well, now Achilles has replacement heels. You just have to install Jetpack. Right.
Well, there's
Yeah.
been other products that have been around that have tried to do this sort of thing, where it's like it asks the human, "Hey, human, I want you to give me a list of words and things that I should organize in such a way that I can then hopefully present these to the person that's going to be doing the searching." But that's only good for the person who's actually who's running the site, who thinks this is what these people are going to be searching for. When you have somebody just shows up and just randomly searches for something and they don't get the results that they're looking for. How's Elasticsearch going to fix that? Like, what does that do to actually fix it?
So, yeah, I think I can offer some context here. Firstly, I want to say that Elasticsearch is here's me needing to actually disable my phone when I'm going to be on a call, and I can't drag down with sweaty hands. So. Cancel that. So Jetpack Search is like a really good example of one of the things that makes Jetpack so powerful, which is that because we already connect to a bunch of cloud services, right? Yeah. Like in order to do related posts and all these other things, we're already synchronizing a lot of the data from your website to the cloud, right? So then like making that searchable through an API is not that huge of a leap from a lot of the things that we're already doing. Like we're already providing stats, we're already syncing stuff for related posts and enhanced distribution and Photon and all these other things. And so it doesn't cost us as much as other providers to sort of add search to that. And that means that we can provide it at a really great price point compared to people who are just sort of dedicated to doing Elasticsearch.
And plus, I mean, if you ever wanted to start up your own Elasticsearch index, I mean, you could do it, but you need to have a virtual private server that's running just that, which is going to cost you probably more than Jetpack Premium on its own with everything else that it comes with.
Totally. Like, right, we've compared it to the cost of running your own server, and and getting Jetpack Premium that includes, Jetpack Professional that includes Elasticsearch is substantially cheaper, not to mention all the other stuff you get in the back. But in terms of how it actually benefits your site, there's a few different ways, and some of them are more for power users, and some of them are more stuff you get out of the box. But like out of the box, we provide really great internationalized search. So in terms of like taking the things that you're looking for and matching them against the words in your posts, we use Elasticsearch's multi-language stemming and things like that, so that like you, if you're searching in Korean, if you're searching in Japanese, if you're searching in Italian, whatever, it'll actually do proper like depluralization, right? So that shoe and shoes will both match. Those are things that MySQL cannot do out of the box. Certainly not on your typical shared hosting, and even then, it's really, really hard to set up. But Elasticsearch gives us that sort of for free. And we can also search by like a lot of additional things really quickly. So in the future, we'll be able to index a lot of stuff from like other plugins, like different kinds of meta and stuff like that. We can add them into the index and search them in a way that like in MySQL would be quite prohibitive, because you'd have to do sort of elaborate multiple joins against the post meta table. And it's really, really hard to do.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Right. And the other thing that the Elasticsearch gives us sort of for free in terms of performance is this thing called aggregations. And so aggregations is sort of like, tell me stuff about the whole set of things that matched my search. So if you're searching on a WooCommerce site for shoes, it's like, tell me all of the WooCommerce product categories that match this search, not just in the first page of results, but across all results, so that I can drill down and refine my search. So if I search for the word fancy, it's like, here's fancy hats, fancy shoes, fancy whatever. And you can, and for each of those, it'll even tell you the number of products that are in that category. And it's all without affecting the performance of search. You can add as many of these facets or aggregations, we call them, as you want. And it's all, you can do it all visually in the sidebar widget builder. So you go in and all the power of these aggregations is actually exposed to you visually with like no programming required in the upcoming version of Jetpack. So
Wow,
that's
that's
really
cool.
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. You know, I have some limited experience with Elasticsearch. I've never programmed for it, but my my director of engineering, Aaron Holbrook, contributed to the ElasticPress plugin. So that's where our familiarity comes from, and I can just speak to what it takes to set up a separate server, to connect into all the APIs to make that happen, just to set up a basic Elasticsearch. So that's really cool that this is coming in Jetpack.
Yeah, and actually, we hook into WP Query kind of transparently, so you can actually, by default, we hook anything that's sort of like a standard search page search, but you can actually, just using a filter, you can actually use Elasticsearch to intercept any kind of WP query across your whole site. So if you're an advanced user and you want to be able to like intercept searches in the admin because you have like 5 million posts and you're a news site, then you can actually intercept WP query requests in the admin and you can return results from the search index, which for power users could be incredible. And the final thing is you actually can issue Elasticsearch queries directly from any PHP code. So you can send our server arbitrary queries using Elasticsearch JSON syntax and use the full power to do whatever it is you want with your content.
That's great.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
How much is that?
So the Jetpack professional plans, I think George told me, is it $299 a year? US?
I believe.
Yeah,
That's
$299 a
nothing.
year.
That's nothing.
It's nothing if you compare it to the cost of having to develop all these pieces yourself and host them. It's peanuts.
Yeah.
So
And then you get a Kismet and VaultPress and VideoPress and all that stuff along with it.
That's the cost of 2 hours of development time.
right. And then you have this platform on top of which you can build anything you can imagine.
That's great.
It's really cool.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I mean, even maintaining that. Come on, Steve, that server that you guys spun up to maintain that thing.
Oh,
that had to
I'm
suck.
aware. No, I know.
It takes more than 2 hours of developer time every year just to apply the updates to it.
Yeah, and you know, the server itself is actually not that expensive. We run it all on AWS. You know, so you can run it on a pretty small box, but it's still it is time. It's a lot of time to set it up and then hook all the queries in, and so this is great. It's very cool. I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
But the topic today was more Jetpack Wishlist. So I'm trying to get an idea of like, what sort of stuff do y'all think would be interesting or fun to start integrating with?
If this and that.
Or...
If this and that. I would love like when Jetpack Stats, when it says like, hey, you hit 1,000 views according to Jetpack, send out a tweet that says like, hey, my site just got 1,000 whatever, like come be another view, whatever. I would love to do if this and that.
Very nice. So some sort of integration into either SMS like Twilio or Slack. Is that what you're saying?
I mean more of like once you get that data out to if this and that, I could hook it up to my Google Home and they could be like, hey, you just got 1,000 views. Or I could send it out to a tweet and be like, hey, my site is, doing X amount of traffic, whatever. Or be like, hey, I'm popular. Check this out. Like whatever I want to do. I could customize my own message. I'm just looking
for some affirmation, just some daily affirmation.
I only care about
it's possible now, but
I just want to be notified on every device that I'm cool.
Well, it could be made easier, but that's all just like WordPress.com will normally send notifications when you get a sudden unexpected bump in stats. So all you need to do is connect via the REST API and check occasionally for notifications and see if there's any of those there.
No, I know how to do it, but I want you to do it.
I make our lives easier here, George.
Come on, man.
The cat blockers are not going to be able to do this
if
themselves.
this and that provider that can listen for assorted notifications from your .com account.
What I think we need is like a separate web service called congratulate.me, which just like connects to all of your different websites and services. And if it feels like you've accidentally or deliberately done something great, it sends you a text message just saying congrats, well done.
Daily affirmations.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. No, but like I would like to hook it up to if this and that, and based on things in there, I would like to be able to get notified. I think that would be really kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was definitely I was helped develop the sync under like infrastructure for Jetpack, which kind of synchronizes your content to our cloud. And that was always part of the sort of vision, was like, well, we're getting this like real-time stream of your stuff, like, so that we can provide all these services. It would be cool to sort of have webhooks, you know, like that you can tap into when stuff happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we do internally. We just we don't have a developer-facing kind of interface for that. So good to hear.
What about forms? I would love to see. I would love to see being able to have like deeper, more richer forms within Jetpack.
Have you seen the updated form builder interface? I think it was totally re-engineered recently.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
6
No, I
months
haven't.
ago, now it uses a short code view, and we have a pull request we're working on to do a Guten block for the contact forms module.
Ooh,
Yes,
that's
they-
fun.
Using
See, that's the
blocks.
That's the problem with Jetpack. The problem with Jetpack is it exists and I use it and I use it all the time. But you guys put out new stuff and I'm like, what? There's a thing that does this now? Oh, that's awesome. Like, for instance, the
So
CBN stuff.
If your criticism is we do so many awesome things that it's impossible to be aware of all of them, then criticism accepted.
I think
So that API
I think-
that we were just talking about with the notifications, we just need it so every time you guys do something cool, that TV in the background of Russ right there should just go off and say like, boom, boom, boom. Here's a new thing that just showed up.
I was just gonna ask Dan if he could check to see if he got a text message from congratulate.me.
Yeah, that was actually that incoming phone call before.
So
It's like, you're on the show.
topic
Check this out.
on the topic of contact forms, one thing I've seen a couple WordCamp organizers ask for in the past is the ability to flag incoming messages through the contact form as replied to or needs reply or whatnot. So on your site that has multiple admins, be able to actually track through the life cycle of a contact whether it's actually been dealt with yet. So you don't
That
have
would
two
be really
admins
cool.
each wondering if the other has dealt with it yet.
That's not a bad idea. I like that a lot.
That's not bad at all. That would be pretty darn interesting.
I would like contact forms to map to custom post types. So like when you set up like a speaker form, like it can map to the speakers, and I don't have to like
It
drag
already
things
does
It already does.
on
See,
the official WordCamp
See?
site.
Russ, you just need
Well,
to turn
no,
around
wait,
every once in a while. Look at that
wait,
TV.
well, no, it does.
That's not in
WordCamp site.
Jetpack. That's in CampTix.
yeah.
That's in WordCamp.
Yeah,
land.
okay. But I would like Jetpack forms to just map to a custom post type, and then I would have no need for Gravity forms anymore.
Okay.
And that's not saying that I don't love Gravity forms. I'm just saying that I would like to just
Don't
use
say that.
the
Carl's gonna hunt you down.
Listen, I'm the biggest fan of Gravity forms. I have a Gravity sticker somewhere. I'm just
I'm
saying,
a bigger
like,
I'm a bigger fan of Gravity forms.
Sure,
Hey,
okay.
do I have to get my
No, I don't.
cosmonaut shirt out right now?
I'm
I
just
don't.
saying I would like Jetpack forms to map to CPTs, and I'm cool.
Okay.
So how
That
about
actually, I could probably build that this weekend for you.
This podcast explains why George builds so many random things.
Just so
Stanley, you're one to talk.
It is true. It is true. I am a one man side project machine.
talk to me for a minute about Photon. So Photon takes your
My-
images and
my
puts them
favorite
onto a
feature.
CDN, right? It puts them onto a CDN.
Kind of.
There's no
It's a
there's no
full
image
CDN.
compression.
Well, there is.
Okay.
So there, depending on what browser is requesting the image, like there's a certain new image format that is more optimized, that only like I think Chrome accepts. So we'll deliver that image format to requests coming from Chrome.
But you're not actually doing something like what Tiny PNG does or Smush It.
No.
Or anything like that.
Well,
To an extent,
we actually can improve the compression on images without a loss of quality by I think around 50%.
Okay.
But so I use Photon with Imagify, which is one of the WP Rocket sites, and so I actually compress there, and then it gets uploaded into Photon, and that saves a lot of time as well. Like that's easily one of my favorite features of my site is being able to use Photon.
Yeah, I mean,
there's other things you can do to tweak it. Like there are filters you can use to add query arguments to Photon URLs when they get inserted. So you can modify like what percentage quality is served. So if you think that I think by default it's like 89% quality, You can, if you are doing a photography site and it needs to be full 100%, you can boom, just bump that up. You can drop it down if you'd rather have better load times. Yeah.
And actually, this reminds me that the other headline feature that's going to be free for everyone with the next version of Jetpack is lazy loading images. It's like literally my favorite Jetpack feature ever, by the way. Like
That sounds like you're giddy.
yeah, no, because like
Well,
we
Dan's
like,
been on the
you,
PWA
George.
train for a while now.
yeah, well, no, because we went through this insane process. Again, I'm a side project machine, and this was just a thing that I did because I was giving a talk with Google, and we were looking into performance optimizations, and we went through like the whole, because Google has this amazing like online resource which is like all for like, it's like this web performance kind of encyclopedia, right? And we went through like every single hack in the web performance encyclopedia and like which one of these things can like Jetpack do for your site automatically, so that when you install Jetpack, your site just gets faster. In the same way that Photon makes your site faster, like what else can we do? And we went through all the PWA stuff and the fancy tricks and all this sort of stuff, and we found like by far the most effective thing is just lazy loading images. And Automatic had an existing lazy loading plugin that we just like optimized the hell out of and made it like super slick and modern, and we put it in Jetpack, and it's coming out on Tuesday. But if you like, it will, for most sites, and I'm kind of spitballing here, but like it will probably like cut your bandwidth use by like 50 to 80% if you're running an image heavy site, and will improve your load times by a corresponding percentage with almost no perceptible user impact, right? Like it loads the images, it uses this cool new web API, the intersection observer, to actually preload images before they scroll into the viewport. So
that's cool.
it's, if that combined with Photon is like really cool, because like with Photon your images load really fast from like an origin close to the browser, and then with lazy images they load just before coming into the viewport. So with those two combined, you can substantially improve like
I
site
want
performance.
to know who named it lazy loading. That's actually the opposite of what it does. It's actually more like active loading, right?
Right.
Lazy loading sounds like
you're procrastinating the load.
No, I get it. I understand, but lazy sounds, we'll get around to it.
Well,
when we feel like
I
it.
mean, it's kind of like, okay, if you're only doing it in this view, then you're being lazy. Like you should do it all. I get it. I get it.
I've gone back and forth about the name, because like lazy images is like what people call it who kind of know about it, but if you've never heard of lazy loading images,
sounds
then
negative.
it sounds weird, right?
I always think of it like
Just-in-time image loading.
I always,
I like that.
I always think of it like a lazy eye. I always think of it like a lazy eye.
I think we need a rebrand.
I like that. Yeah, is it too late to change the module slug? Probably.
Probably.
I mean,
What
can
could
we
possibly go wrong?
We have a number of module slugs that don't line up with their name, like GareDaddy.
Just replace all. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah,
have one
we're
for you.
already in beta release for the RC for the release on Tuesday. Yeah, that's no. Sorry.
George and Dan, I have one for you. What about custom post types in the mobile app?
Custom post types in the mobile app. That's a nice idea.
So it's tricky, and I think a lot of that's going to be down to what core does with the custom field API and whatnot. Because when core has things where you can describe like all the custom meta fields that a custom post type accepts, and you can flag them as an integer within this range, or a date time, or a blob of content, WordPress core and any third-party clients, like whether you're talking about Calypso or like a writing client or the mobile apps, they can all then just render forms for the custom fields that a custom post type uses. And at that point, you can start doing it. But that actual description needs to be there for the custom post types first, so that they know what the format for the custom post type will even look like.
Yeah. I know, but
like I think with Gutenberg, we're going to see a move towards more APIs exposing metadata about content types anyway, because like if you want to render like a view onto some content like in the client, then you have to sort of find some nice, reasonably compact, abstract way of like telling the client like what kind of data is being rendered, right?
Right.
So I would expect sort of through the process of Gutenberging things and kind of in general moving towards
That's a new
client
verb.
side. Yeah. We should call that Gutenverbing. Every time you put Guten in front of something.
I think there should be a little badge that says you've been Gutenberg.
Yes. So I think we'll see, like, hopefully at some point more standardization on how that metadata is exposed, so that all different kinds of clients can provide a sensible editing interface for custom post types.
But that just means at some point we're going to have to Guten enable the mobile
I
app
think
to
it's
be able
Guten
to do all that stuff.
Guten enable.
But we're gonna have to deal with that as well, right?
Well, that's a very good idea.
Oh my god!
But one of the things that I've seen discussed as well is, I mean, the mobile teams are working on this now, trying to see what they can do about doing Guten blocks in the mobile apps, because if then they can start like parsing and running JavaScript from blocks declared on a website, then you can have like a plugin that defines a custom block on your WordPress install, and then the app can download the JavaScript for it and run it locally inside your Android phone, so you can have the same interface there as you do on the website.
Wow.
What George said.
React
That's
Native.
Cool. React Native. Exactly. No, that's cool. I mean, at that point, you're just loading up that Guten block or the editing version of that Guten block in the browser, and you're modifying it right then and there, right?
Mm-hmm. By the way, this reminds me of like one of my like most wanted Gutenberg hacks, which is I feel like somebody should take like the WordPress.com Connect API, WPCC, like, and just build like a standalone cloud app that is like just Gutenberg, and you just connect it to all your sites. And it just allows you to like use Gutenberg to like edit posts on each of those sites, but it has none of your settings and none of your anything else. Because like, it's like as soon as you've got WPCC, you've got API access, and you can just like hack Gutenberg to talk through the API to like all of your different websites. So if you're
Dan, are you just saying you want Calypso to run Gutenberg?
Yes.
Well, yeah, but like I'm just thinking it'd be cool to do like a super lightweight, like, you know, thing. If like all you care about is, you know, posting to these different sites, you're not worried about settings and you're not worried about that other stuff. Or you have people who are like just content authors. I just think the API provides such a cool way of like having these different views that are optimized. Like you may have other cloud apps you can connect through WPCC that just look at stats or just look at security, right? Like as soon as you have this like central kind of railway station that Jetpack provides for like connecting all your sites in one place, like there's no reason why anyone, and they don't have to ask for permission, all the APIs are there, can just build these sort of like tuned experiences. Let 1,000 flowers bloom, or whatever the phrase is, right?
I like it.
I mean, there's no reason that someone couldn't build another like managed WP custom tailored interface just using the .com APIs and Jetpack connections. So you wouldn't even need any client plugins. You could just have the interface be however the heck you want, managing all your sites through it.
Totally.
So what you're saying is Morton could finally put that headset on and be able to do all his VR stuff and AR stuff. He just would do it just through a totally different interface. I had to mention Morton. I had to mention AR and VR, or he wouldn't watch this episode. So, so that's what you're saying, right, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. That was pretty much my point. Who's Morton?
So
who's Morton?
I have a question for George. Maybe we can use the political power of the show to get you a feature that you want to build in Jetpack. So what would you build, George?
In 1 minute.
In 1 minute.
More Guten block integration for all our shortcodes and features to better support the core functionality.
Yeah.
I am wondering why Russ thinks that this show has any political influence whatsoever.
Yes, us and our 4 viewers.
we had people talk about like Jetpack and tell you the truth. That's not fake news. So we have a little
Oh boy. Well, that's about it. That wraps it up for today. Thank you very much for all of you for being on the show with us and hanging out with us and talking about Gutenberg. No, we talked about Jetpack quite a bit. So if you want to go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, where you can learn how to subscribe to this content and all the other content that we put out as well. And Dan, thank you very much for joining with us. George, thank you for putting up with us throughout the years. I appreciate it. And I wanted to make sure we at least highlight Jetpack and all the fun things that you're doing over there. So thank you very much. And if you have any other questions, suggestions, or anything like that, WP Water Cooler on Twitter, feel free to let us know over there. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.